What's up? Good afternoon. Welcome to a random park in Asheville. I'm going through a little bit of a learning moment here, learning experience in the past 2 days, and particularly this morning, and wanted to share with you, document where I'm at, share the context, and then share some of the specific learnings that I'm taking away from this. So for my software MVP, I have basically finished the UI, and the next thing on my list of things that I wanted to do and am doing was figuring out how I can increase the value. And so I went back through Alex Hormozi's $100 Million Offers book, and he has a series of about 5 steps on how to actually create your offer. And so I decided to go back through and actually do every step for this, and it was an interesting experience. Part of me, or this happened yesterday, it brought a lot more confidence that the direction that I'm going, I'm able to solve all of the problems, and what I'm delivering is very valuable. But I also realized in the process of the last step is trim and stack all of the deliverables that you came up with, and all of the deliverables that I had generated were all really costly in terms of time and effort, and since I'm leaning more towards the software route, it was a lot of, a tool to do this, and then a tool to do this, and a tool to do that, and I'm just thinking all of these things that I have to build myself, and it takes time, and I'm battling time here. And so I got a little overwhelmed with the scope. So it's increased confidence, because look at how much value that I am providing here, but then seeing that as the ideal and seeing where I am now, there's a big delta there. So I'm well, there's a lot of work that needs to be done to get me from where I am right now to where this ideal is, and it's not something that I can do in just a week, So I got a little bit overwhelmed with how much stuff there was to do. And so this morning I tackled what do I do with this information, and how do I proceed forward? And I was ChatGPTing a bunch and realized that I need to change some things with the current UI and interface and setup. I think one of the biggest weaknesses is there's too much information, which produces decision fatigue for the user and for me. And there's a lot of information that's just not really that helpful for the core purpose. And there isn't really a core, what's the core value here in the UI? And so that process produced a lot of things I need to do. I should change the copy to be more like this, and I need to change the design to be more focused on this. And one of the thoughts that I had was oh, this is unfortunate, because I kind of have to scrap the design that I just built, but I was listening to this video podcast from Alex Hormozi the other day, I think on my drive down here, and he was talking about the situation of he was talking about working past when you feel like it, and that if you put in, an extra 2 hours when your brain is fried, you still make progress. And even if the next morning, he was talking about writing and editing, even if the next morning you come back and you reread it and you edit it and you're like, this is, not that helpful, you still made progress, and the work that you put in was the stepping stone for the next thing that you did. And so I'm trying to see that in my situation right now, that this is not work that's being scrapped. It's work that, what's the word? It's like a prerequisite almost for this next design. Like, I needed to do this in order to get to the better solution, the more valuable design. And I think that's an interesting learning that I'm taking away. And I think it's a counter to the negative thought of, like, I gotta start over, scrapping this work. I just wasted a week of work or a day of work or whatever it is. Instead, it's more like that work was useful and beneficial, and it gave me the foundation that I can use to iterate on. So that's one thing. And as I started to re-envision what this interface should look like, one of the things that I'm liking, and that is another learning, is getting really focused on what is the core value of this. And one of the phrases or statements or ideas that I've kept coming back to this morning was, every element of this design should answer the question, how does this help the user, the YouTube creator, come up with new video titles, new high quality video titles for their channel? If it doesn't help, if it doesn't add value in that regard, then it's not useful. Like, one of the things I think that I have to, speaking of scrapping work, is I put some information, some details, data on all of the channels that are in your niche on the page. And so there's like engagement rate, average views, last 10 videos posted, top 3, popular videos. I don't think, maybe some of that is useful, but that's the kind of thing I'm thinking about now, is like, does this information directly help the user using this website, the creator, come up with new high quality video titles for their channel that they can make videos about? I'm like, I think it's just adding noise, and it's adding information that's like, you click the card drop down and it's, oh, wow, look at all this information, but it's taking you in this direction of like, we're analyzing a channel and we're not coming up with a new video title, So every element of the page should help the user generate new high quality video titles for their channel. That is what I'm trying to like drill in my mind. so that everything is intentional and purposeful. As a side note, before my last point, 2 points, I saw a post or a community poll from Colin and Samir, their YouTube channel, and they are a channel like directly for YouTube creators, and they ran a poll that ended up having about over 5,000 votes. And the question was, what is your biggest struggle or problem as a creator? And the results, the top choice was 45% generating revenue. The next highest at 37% was coming up with video ideas. And then it was like 10% other, leave a comment below, and then 8% editing the video. And so there's just a little note of validation, like this is a validated problem. The problem exists. The question now, I think, is my solution to the problem, will it work for people, and will people resonate with it? I think that's a shift that I'm starting to realize, is that I no longer need to validate that the problem of coming up with video ideas is a problem. It is a problem. That poll was validation in one regard. And it just seems to be a well-established problem. So, yeah, I was thinking about this on my walk around this park. I did 3 loops, 2.5. It doesn't really seem like I'm building an MVP anymore. And I was trying to think about that. Like, is that okay? The ideas or the visions that I've been thinking about in regards to this have been, Peter Level's software sites that are just like super basic HTML or like a spreadsheet or whatever that he shares. And I'm doing a lot more than that. And I'm trying to think, is that like, am I doing too much? Because this is no longer a super basic MVP, bare bones, just get it done. But with the context that the problem has been validated, then I guess the question is, like, what are you validating with an MVP? Are you validating the problem? Are you validating the solution, the vehicle, the opportunity vehicle? I think that's what I'm trying to validate. So anyway, gotta think about that. But the last thing, so that was another learning, is that I don't think I'm building an MVP anymore. Or maybe I'm building an MVP, but I'm not validating the problem, because the problem exists. I'm validating the opportunity vehicle, the new solution that I'm providing to the marketplace. And the last thing was, I was hitting some roadblocks trying to envision what I wanted the new interface to be like. And one of the thoughts and realizations I had was, I was looking for other designs for like a dashboard analytics type of interface. And I remembered Tweet Hunter. What would you say? It's an analytics tweet Twitter, X, social media management software site, something like that. I've drawn a lot of inspiration from them. I wouldn't say a lot, but one of the things I went back to their website and I looked at their interface because I kind of feel like I'm doing a similar thing to them just for YouTube. And so I was like, well, okay, well, how do they do it? Like, what does their interface look like? And one of the thoughts I had was, why don't you just copy them? Like, now is not really the time to be creative. Like, oh, I just want to come up with a new, fresh, new design. I want it to be new and never seen before. Like, it doesn't need to be, it just needs to work, and it needs to look good. It needs to work, gets the job done. And I don't want to straight rip off somebody else's UI, but I think you can take inspiration from other people. And so that's what I'm thinking about is, if you're getting stuck, especially in the early stages of learning something new, like I'm not a UX designer. I just need to get the job done. Why don't you start by just copying what other people do, and then from there, based on the feedback that you get on your software or whatever you're putting out, then you iterate on that. But I mean, if you're not stuck, then there's no issue there. But I was getting stuck, so I'm gonna try to not reinvent the wheel, So anyway, that's some things I'm learning, some things I'm going through right now, and documenting the process. I'm gonna go get some work done. Back into Bootstrap Studio. See ya.